Trust is dying. Loneliness is skyrocketing. And AI is going to make authentic connection even more critical. After helping dozens of creators like Frey Chu rapidly create and scale engaged communities in under 3 hours, I've learned the number one competitive advantage in the next 3 years will be building communities that genuinely matter. So, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why community is your strongest moat. Who am I to even talk about this? And 3 easy steps to go from just an educational creator to a sought after community builder. Hi, everybody. My name is Matt, and I'm grateful to be here. I have been a passionate community builder throughout my life. I created the r/competitive Overwatch subreddit and grew it from zero to its first 150,000 members. Launched, moderated, and operated multiple Discords and Facebook groups. Most recently, I spent nearly a decade at Monday.com as the first employee in the US. I got to hire hundreds and managed a team of up to 87. I also helped build and run our Facebook group with 18,000 members and eventually helped create our Elevate conference. I developed all of our customer stories, and we grew it from 150 attendees in 2019 to a 2-day sold out expo with thousands of attendees across New York, London, and Sydney, Australia. And when it comes to the community game, I'm all in. Why? Because communities are the ultimate moat. They are impossible to replicate. Plus, people stop using products, they leave services, but they do not want to drop their friends. Did you know that in 2023, over 60% of adults in the US reported feeling lonely? That's a 13% increase from just a decade ago and a 30% increase from the past few decades. And it's not just a Western problem. Countries like Japan and the UK are seeing similar trends. And while we're more connected than ever because of technology, we're trusting each other so much less. A recent study found that only 34% of people trust their neighbors, and trust in government and corporations is at an all time low. And now, as AI begins to replace human interactions, chatbots, virtual companions, and the like, we are facing a future where genuine human connection is becoming a luxury item. But this isn't just about loneliness, is it? It's about what happens when we stop trusting one another, when we rely on algorithms to make decisions, when we prefer screens over faces, when we lose the ability to connect authentically. Imagine a world where half of humanity feels disconnected, where trust is totally eroded, and where even creators, the people who bring us together, are struggling to survive. This isn't some crazy dystopian future, y'all. It's the reality happening right now. Why community building matters now more than ever? It's not just because numerous experts predict that within the next 3 to 5 years, AI could replace up to 30% of jobs. Not just in factories, but in roles that require empathy like customer service and therapy. What happens to trust when even our most intimate conversations are mediated by machines? Look, guys, I'm telling you all of this because as a passionate community builder, the alarming truth for creators is that right now, it's not just a health crisis, it is a career one. 1/4 of 1% of channels on YouTube make any money whatsoever. That's like if you had 100 people in a room and you had just one person making money and only the top upper shoulder thumbnail version of that person, right? Okay, I'll come up with better analogies in the future. But this is just including people making even 1 penny from ad revenue. Algorithms control your reach. Sponsors are not always a fit for what you are trying to build with your brand. And sometimes they even threaten the sacred trust that you have built with your audience. And so many other creator monetization methods are failing. Your audience needs you guys. At this very moment, more than half of humanity is taking the same level of physical damage to their bodies as if they were smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And no, as much as we might wish it, a good air filter is not going to fix this problem. The data around the loneliness epidemic across multiple studies in over 142 different countries is shockingly clear. 1 in 2 adults feels lonely. And this was happening long before COVID. Since 1990, men without any close friends has increased 5 times and women 10 times. Over 75% of Gen Z feels lonely. Now, maybe you're like I was, and you think that loneliness isn't such a big deal. So let's start with aligning on what that means. Being alone doesn't mean you're lonely. You can be lonely even in a room filled with people that you know. This problem speaks more to social isolation. It's in your head. It's an emotional pain signal that tells your brain you need somebody to talk to. The difference between how much social connection you want and how much social connection you actually have. Loneliness is feeling disconnected from people, even though they might be right next to you. Chronic loneliness is what affects our physical health. So, what actual damage does loneliness do? It gives you a greater risk of heart disease, dementia, strokes, depression, anxiety, and just a lot of the things that make you die before you otherwise should. For older folks who are alone, social isolation has been directly linked to excess healthcare spending in the billions of dollars. That doesn't even include all the costs that we know about, but we can't really track well, like somebody calling out of work, for example. So, what then, as creators, can we do to help solve the epidemic of loneliness? Look, loneliness doesn't discriminate by age or income or background. All of us, including your audience as a creator, are dealing with the effects of it, whether ourselves or with those in our lives. The risk of being socially isolated is a serious one for all of us. The good news is there's hope. There's a simple set of actions that you can take, and we are going to go through all of them near the end of this video. Every business has the ability to positively influence the future here. And to solve this epidemic, we need everyone to agree how serious this problem is first, so that we can take action on how to solve it. The good news is that as creators, we are uniquely positioned to help contribute to solving this problem. We were never meant to live in boxes and only communicating behind screens. Humans have always thrived in tribes. We're wired for connection. As a creator, you have the unique ability to build a tribe, a community that supports you, that you support, and that members support each other in. Everyone generally has two places that manage their well being. Think about it, right? The first is your house, and the second is generally where you go or work. Fundamental to your well being is finding the third place, the place where you're not forced to show up, but you can get social interaction. Third places are free from expectations. You get to define what that third place is to be. Now, over the past few decades, third places have been continually disappearing. Suburban sprawl and rising costs, the shift to overall digital life, these things have left us with fewer spaces to be able to connect authentically in person. In the 60s, nearly 70% of Americans participated in some form of community organization, whether it was a church or a bowling league or a local club. But today, that number has plummeted. By 2020, nearly half of Americans have reported having 3 or fewer close friends. 28% of Americans now live alone. These things are replicated all across the world. The places where we used to gather, bookstores, diners, community centers, these places are vanishing. They're being replaced by suburbs and endless screens. Even when we're out in public, we're often alone, scrolling on our phones instead of talking to the person right next to us. The world needs more community builders. So, here is how you can become a community builder from scratch in 3 easy steps. In a world where those third places are disappearing, online spaces can become new gathering spots. Think about it. Your community can be a place where people come together, they share ideas, and they feel like they belong. Unlike a traditional third place, which can be limited by geography, your community can bring people together from all over the world. And as a creator, you have the power to shape that space. You can make it welcoming, inclusive. You can make it mean something for your people. The first thing you need to do is choose the style of community that you want. There are a bunch of different examples. And when I worked at Monday, All of our communities, for example, were product communities because they all revolved around people using Monday.com. There's also project based communities. An example for this might be doing a 90-day Get Fit challenge. If you're a writer, maybe you've heard of the Ship 30 for 30 program. That's where everybody joins another group of people and they're all doing the same exercises to start writing online in 30 days. I frequently recommend new community builders consider their first community as a what community and ethically monetize that through a second how community. A what community will introduce people to the topic and generally take them about 30% of the way through the journey. Don't fall for the trap. Don't make your community so packed with content and value that it just overwhelms people. This was a very early mistake that I made and many other great community leaders have made, and it included me closing down one of my communities for that reason. Once you've picked the kind of community that you do want, you need to lay out the roadmap for taking people, this specific group, to their journey. What is the mechanism that you are going to give them? For example, the free community that I'm working on, by the way, subscribe, hit the bell, check the pinned comment if you want to be alerted about the launch. This community is going to be all about helping creators like you get started and learn the sequence of steps to take to become a true community builder and ethically monetize that community so that it will eventually run itself. It's easy to get lost and waste time on things that are absolutely important but are not the top priority based on where you are at in your journey. The first thing a community builder should always look at are the PPOs. What pain does my audience have? Do they have a common profession or want to be a common part of a profession? And then what are they obsessed with? So I'm going to give you 3 examples of great community builders and what they did in each of these areas. The first is, what pain am I or other people experiencing, right? So first example we're going to talk about is Kayla Itznes, right, of the Sweat program. Kayla launched Bikini Body Guides with structured workouts and meal plans. The real thing that brought it all together, though, was her massive Instagram presence. She created a hashtag called #BBG and built a community off of the back of that. Women who supported each other with daily check ins and progress photos. It later evolved into an app that's very famous called Sweat, which ended up being a membership based platform and provided on demand workouts and a vibrant in app community. So let's review the pain. Women struggled to find accessible, engaging workouts they could do at home, and they felt isolated or insecure at a traditional gym. The profession. Well, Kayla is a certified personal trainer. She started by training clients in person, but she shared before and after transformations on social media to grow her following. And her obsession was that she wanted to empower women worldwide to gain confidence through fitness, nutrition, and a supportive online community. Next, let's talk about Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income, right? And his SPI Pro community. Pat asked those same questions. What profession am I in and I have a deep understanding of? So he built Smart Passive Income through a blog and then eventually a podcast and then a YouTube channel. His approach was always about transparency. He shared income reports, he shared experiments, and of course, all the failures along the way. The SPI Pro community is a paid membership, and entrepreneurs can join to exchange knowledge, attend group coaching sessions, collaborate on projects, and form a close-knit support network of building online businesses. Now, what was the pain? Pat was laid off from his job as an architect in 2008. He struggled with the uncertainty of not having a stable income, and he discovered that many other people felt trapped in traditional careers. They wanted more autonomy too. He looked at his profession. Well, originally as an architect, Pat pivoted to online business and blogging. He tested out affiliate marketing, ebooks, podcasting, and eventually wrote a book all about helping people develop and land these different types of jobs as his start. His obsession was, how do I help people create smart passive income? Revenue streams that give you more freedom and flexibility. Now, passive income is a little bit of a trap because no income is truly passive. But when you work to create something that continues to generate you money, that is especially unique. And with Pat Flynn as a specific example, one of the things that he does so well in his community is that he takes the leaders who are growing and elevates them into positions where they teach other members of SPI Pro about their profession, their insights, and their leadership. So his community essentially runs itself. And third, let's talk about Emily Weiss from Glossier. She had her blog and then she turned it into a beauty empire. Emily used that engaged readership from her blog and she turned it into an advisory community for her product creation ideas. When she launched Glossier, fans felt like co creators. They gave feedback on formulas, packaging, marketing. Glossier's social media presence was heavily driven by user generated content and peer recommendations. The brand had a get ready with me event and doing all kinds of pop ups, and this fostered an incredible in person community that then extended online. So let's take a look. Emily's pain. First, she noticed that the traditional beauty industry felt disconnected from real customers. Products were often marketed in a top down, unrelatable way. Many women felt confused about what products would truly work for them. Let's look at Emily's profession. Well, she started as a fashion assistant, right? She created that beauty blog Into the Gloss. She interviewed real women and industry experts about what their routines were. And her obsession was about making beauty accessible. She knew the value of being community driven and fun, and product development was informed directly by consumer feedback. Now, mentioning all of these successful business owners will probably have the same effect on you that it had on me in the beginning. And that's trying to get everything perfect out of the gate. Everybody has to start somewhere. That's why the third and most important step to getting started on your journey is to actually take action from that pinned comment and start. You are never going to get things perfectly right out of the gate, but simply by taking action, you will begin the process of iterations that you need to refine and build that perfect offer. It's going to make people feel like the community that you are building is absolutely irresistible to them. So here's mine. If you are even remotely considering building a community, book a strategy call with me from the pinned comment below. I will help you create an offer so good it will feel ridiculous for people to say no. I'll help you build a custom roadmap for your journey so that you know the exact sequence of steps that you need to take. I'll help you pick the best tools and platforms and automations, and I will personally guide you through building a community that runs itself and is ethically monetized. Now, your totally fair question is going to be, why do all that work? The answer is simple. It's because I'm obsessed. I want to build the best possible community of creators that I can. I know that it's going to take hard work, learning, and iteration after iteration. And this channel is going to be where I share all of my insights, lessons, failures, nothing held back. So the only questions left are these. Do you think AI is going to change everything in the next few years? Do you agree that the loneliness epidemic is a solvable one? Do you want to build a community-based business that will one day run itself? Do you want to ethically monetize in a way that future-proofs your own creator career journey and gives massive value to those who trust you the most? And lastly, will you join me on this journey and build a community that will not only change the lives of others, but totally transform your own life? Check the pinned comment. Let's chat. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me pour my heart out. And if you've made it this far, I would love to meet with you. And if you're curious about how we grew Frey Chew's community in just 3 hours from absolutely no idea what his offer was to growing to hundreds of members within hours and 800 members within a few weeks, check out this video. I think you'll find it pretty interesting. Talk soon.